We welcome all of you, our lovely viewers, to another exciting and educating episode on the Health Buzz on Big Hands TV. We are able to come your way with health issues to help you optimize and take very good responsibility of your health. Today we'll be talking about stress and stress management. Our resource person is here. She is ready to take us through today's discussion. But before that, I would encourage you to like, share the video, and also subscribe to our channel on all social media platforms and handles. Big Hands TV on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. We are coming your way with the Health Buzz by the kindest courtesy of the Big Hands Foundation, which is an NGO reaching out to persons with a lot of physical challenges, reaching out to give them a lot of charity, and also helping them to know that all hope is not lost in their lives, irrespective of their challenges. You can find the Big Hands Foundation on the Old Barrier Road off the Kaswa Winneba Highway. You can call 0248 698948 for any further enquiries. We are also able to come your way with the Health Buzz by the kindest courtesy of Big Hands Travel and Tour. The festive season is just at the corner. Easter celebrations. A lot of people will be traveling to have a lot of fun. Your best bet is to stay in touch and get booked with the Big Hands Travel and Tour. You can call 0248 8969 and 48 for all other enquiries. Today we are talking about stress and stress management. I am regular host and presenter Michael Jamil Say. Please do stay with us as we go for a quick commercial. We'll be right back. Welcome back, our lovely viewers, and this is the Health Buzz on the Big Hands TV. We are educating ourselves to optimize our health so that we are able to take very good responsibilities of our health. We have in our studios today Mrs. Jeanette Ansadanso. She is an SNO at the Obs and Gynae Emergency 37 Military Hospital, Ghana. We are very happy to have you in our studios today. Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you.
I hope you are doing very well.
I'm doing well.
And as always, you are looking very good.
Thank you.
Alright, today we'll be talking about stress and stress management. But before that, what's the situation like at TET7 concerning the COVID vaccination?
Thank you, Michael, for the opportunity and greetings to you viewers. Everything is in order. It's calm. People are happy taking their vaccine.
Oh, they are happy?
Yes.
That's nice.
Yes. I think there is no problem.
Okay.
Yeah. There are few reactions, but they are not that massive ones.
Okay, would you like to mention a few so that our viewers...
Yeah, so those that I have had an encounter with, some may have fever, slight fever, some may have just injection site pain, localized pain, and then some also they have that malaria-like feeling.
Okay.
But the next day you realize that they feel better.
Okay.
So it's advised that you can take paracetamol to relieve the fever.
Okay, you can take paracetamol.
If you have fever.
Okay. Other people are saying if you are a male or female, I mean in general, they are saying the vaccine has the potential to affect fertility. What will you say about that?
I don't think they have concluded with that research yet.
Okay.
So that kind of fear regarding their fertility and then their chances of getting pregnant in future will be affected. It's not that true because it hasn't been revealed as such.
Alright, so viewers, you are being encouraged to go in for your vaccine. Please, you will remain fertile. you would still be healthy. So please, feel free and go for the vaccine. Right, so we'll move on to today's discussion. We want to talk about stress. We all get stressed at one point in time or the other. So in your own words, Mami, what will you say stress is? What will you say about stress?
Alright, thank you. So like you rightly said, we all go through stress because we are human beings and we are engaged in activities every day, every now and then. All that we are doing here and there, making sure that we are climbing up in life, living in a society, living with one person, working in a company or somewhere. They are all activities. And so these activities have some kind of stress that are related to it. And so when we say stress, it's just a change that occurs within our system as a result of, or as you responding to a kind of situation. Right. So the situation is as such that it is causing a change in your system.
Okay.
And then you will need to pay attention to that action, or you need to take action, or you need to attend to a situation. So in that situation, it will cause a kind of pressure on you, right? And that puts you in a stressful situation. Or what we can say that usually when you are under stress, it affects your physical, your psychological, and then your emotional aspects. It goes through a kind of strain, so you respond in a certain way.
Okay.
So our body is in such a way that it composes of our psychological aspects, our physical aspects, our emotional, our spiritual, and all that. And so if one goes through stress, then the psychological aspect comes to play because we have the brain where all these processes or all these perceptions are taking place. So I'm able to view that I have something to do. So it is interpreted in the brain. Alright. And then the brain has got its cells and then components and functions and processes. So things come together and then it produces a chemical. Right, so those chemicals also goes into your body system, and then it gives you a kind of feeling. So either you are going to feel agitated or anxiety, or you feel sad about the whole thing, or it's an excitement, right? And then it also has its physical implications. Sometimes those chemicals are able to cause your blood pressure to rise up, or it causes you to breathe faster so that you'll be able to have that kind of energy, or it causes your heart to work faster so that you meet that demand that the action is calling for. Right, yes. And so whenever there is a change in these aspects, physical, psychological, emotional, as a result of a strain or some kind of pressure, then we see that you are under stress.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. In your explanations, you mentioned stress can make someone sad or happy. Can you throw more light on that? It's interesting.
Yes, so like I said, it has its presentations based on the physical, the psychological, and then the emotional. So the emotional aspect of the stress includes so many things depending on the stressor or what is causing you to go through the stress.
Okay.
Yes, so if it is a sad situation like losing someone, or losing a dear one or a significant person, or sometimes losing your valuable item, you will be sad, right? Yes, you will be sad. Yes, you will grieve. You will grieve over your loss, so you will be saddened within you. But if you go through a joyous situation, maybe you are getting married, or you have bought a new car,
or just got married.
Yeah. Or maybe you are moving into your new house or a new job, you will be excited. Alright, yes, it causes a kind of stress, but that kind of stress, we call it a positive stress.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Similar to when I passed my
Wow.
license. Alright. So what about stresses? What are they? What are stresses?
So those stresses are just stimulus. When we say stimulus, something that triggers an action.
Okay.
So it causes you to take an action, or it's a condition that will cause certain chemicals to be released into your system. So those stresses, they are situations or they are conditions that it becomes overwhelming for you. So you feel like, or you are able to perceive as if you cannot make it, or it's beyond your capabilities, right? So we have so many stresses around, or those situations that we face every now and then. So if you are going for a promotional interview, it's a stressor, alright? And those stresses, like I said, sometimes it helps because it's able to put your body in order for you to prepare. If you don't have that little stress, you don't prepare. You don't seek information regarding the interview, right? Or maybe you are facing financial obligation. You see that it puts you under pressure, all right, and then it makes you think or see what you can do to help yourself. So those stresses, some of them are good, depending on how we are able to manage them. Some of them it goes the extreme and then it affects our health.
So
Alright.
then we have good stresses
Yes.
and bad
Stresses. Let's
Alright.
put them in that way.
Ones that would have a good impact, that is, we will respond positively to it, but others too, they can change our emotions.
Yes, and then if it prolongs, then it will have negative impacts on your health.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So the stresses are many. We can talk of examination, we can talk of promotion, we can talk of ill health. If you have a chronic disease, you realize that you begin to think through and see this kind of condition. If you have had it before, then how am I going to go through it? Is it going to kill me, or am I going to recover? Okay, so it comes with its own anxiety. Alright, yes. If you have problems in your home, marital problems, you see that all the time you are under pressure. You don't have that peace of mind, alright, to do your normal activities. When you are going home, it's a problem. If you have a situation at the workplace, maybe pressure at the workplace, and you don't have that peace of mind to work well, it creates a kind of pressure for you. Right.
Okay. Alright. What are some of the effects of stress on our health?
So there are many. If you take the physical effects,
So they are categorized.
yes.
Wow.
So going according to the categorization, if you take the physical, or what we call the physical aspects, then you see that you are able to respond, or you see certain signs and symptoms, alright, because of certain chemicals that are being released into your system. So one of these chemicals is called cortisol. Another one is called
Viewers. One is called cortisol.
and then another one is called adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
Yes.
Okay.
And so what they do is that the adrenaline will cause your blood vessels to constrict, meaning that your blood vessels will become a little smaller.
Okay.
Right? So that when blood pushes, it pushes with pressure. So in that case, you are likely to have high BP, or you are likely to have hypertension if you are predisposed in getting that. Right? Yes. And then it also causes increase in heart or cardiac output. It's a mawakoma na akọ increase with circulation, na ama etimia akọ tissues in. So you get enough air to also work with, right? Then the cortisol will also cause release of glucose into your system from the liver. Liver store glucose in times of need, now release it to your system. So once you have glucose, you don't feel hungry. Right? Sometimes to go through stress, it's a common only because there is glucose available. Right. And then adrenaline a bit slow digestive system activity. You see, so all these physical signs will be seen or will be shown by the individual. If you come to the psychological aspects, like I said, depending on the kind of stressor, if it is a bad situation or a sad situation, then the person will become so moody or the person will become so sad. Sometimes they withdraw, alright, from the people. Sometimes they may even have depressive signs and symptoms like suicidal tendencies, right? And then they may be anxiety, there may be agitation, there may be nervousness, as any panel, or who the one yet or lose concentration, or to me and decided on something to do. Alright, so these are the psychological aspects.
Taking you back on the physical effects, you mentioned that the adrenaline would slow digestive processes, and I have ever heard people also saying that when they are stressed, they eat a lot. Can you tell us the reasons why maybe some people would not want to eat so much, but others too would want to eat a lot when they are stressed?
So when you go through the stress, like we said, some of them, it will slow down the digestive system.
Okay.
So you don't eat because you have glucose in your system. But if it becomes chronic, right, so we have acute type and then chronic type. So the acute type, that is the trend or how it's progressed. But if it becomes...
sorry to cut you. Can you put acute and chronic in simple terms, maybe duration or something?
Okay, so when we say something is acute, it means short-lived.
Okay.
Yes, but when we say chronic, it means that it extends.
Okay.
Or it takes a longer period.
Alright.
Yes. So if it is the acute type, then the glucose is already in your system, so it is working for you, so you don't feel the hunger. But if it becomes chronic, then when glucose is released or when glucose is available, it needs insulin.
Okay.
So the insulin will go and act on the glucose so that it gives you the energy that you require. Right. So the chronic type, the insulin is being released into your system and it moves up the glucose that is available. Right. So if you have insulin there, it calls for more food or it calls for more glucose. So you tend to eat more.
Okay.
Right. So in certain situations, we realize that when people go through stress, they eat a lot, and if you are not careful, you become obese. Yes.
Okay. Alright, that's very clear. So we'll continue from the psychological effects.
Yes. So the psychological effects, like I said, if it is a good stressor, then we call it eustress.
Yeah.
Then it is going to produce excitement for you. Yes.
Wow.
And it also causes more productivity if it's at workplace because it causes the brain to work well. It improves the brain function. So it releases certain hormones we call endorphins. So
I'll take it from excitement and more productivity as we go for a quick commercial from our proud sponsors. We'll be right back. This is the Health Buzz on Big Hands TV. We are talking about stress and stress management. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, our lovely viewers. You are still watching the Health Buzz on Big Hands TV. We are talking about stress and stress management today. We believe you are learning a lot of new things. A quick one, we would like to give or mention a belated birthday to one of the guys in our house, Mr. John. We want to say a belated happy birthday to you. We all call him Lyrical. He's the one behind our cameras. He's the one behind our sound. We say the Lord bless you and bring to pass each and every heart desire of yours. We say a happy belated birthday to you. So we were talking about the effects of stress on health, and we were at psychological effects where you mentioned endorphins.
yes.
Yeah.
So there are also chemicals that are released into our system to cause us to be happy when there is excitement, right? Like yes. So when it's a good stress, then you become happy, you become excited, and you realize that the person works with satisfaction. So it comes with work satisfaction and then good work performance, right? Yes. But the bad stresses, it brings about anxiety, fear, sorrow, resentfulness, depression, with suicidal signs and symptoms, irritability, and confusion. So you realize that if it is psychological stress and you are not careful, it's so difficult for you to even concentrate or to do a diligent work to produce or to make maximum effort of your time, okay, or the productive time. And then the physical kind of stress, or the physical presentation, you can even talk of diarrhea. Sometimes you may have diarrhea if you have an interview. Sometimes the way you feel, you may go to the loo about 3 or 4 times before your time is due. Sometimes it may be constipation. Sometimes you feel like your heart is beating very fast palpitation, or sometimes you feel some burning sensation called heart pains. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So all these signs that sometimes you feel a little bit, they are all stresses, or they are kind of stress that you go through. If it's a social kind of stress, you see that you have a problem with your relationship with people. So it could be a relationship from the house, maybe a marital problem all the time, you have marital issues, or work-related issues with people, and you may feel dejected or isolated. Sometimes you feel like loneliness, that kind of thing. Yes. So that is the social aspect that an individual may also experience.
Okay. You drive. What would you say about someone who is stressed and the person wanting to drive?
Sometimes being in the traffic even causes a lot of stress. And so if you go to driving school, they will tell you that if you are a driver, a good driver, you are supposed to, there's an acronym for it, I've forgotten. You are supposed to be patient. You are supposed to be tolerant. You are supposed to be very observant.
Is it the driver's quote?
I've even forgotten it. So you see that all these comes in play when you go through the stress of driving, right, in the traffic. Sometimes you need to judge for someone who is in front of you,
Okay.
because if you don't do that, you may cause an accident or something. Someone who is also passing in front of you, the pedestrians on the way, the motorists on the way, you will have to also think for them. So it's very stressful in some situations. But if you are tired, then it causes more stress. Alright, yes, that's why rest and sleep becomes one of the ways of improving our stressful situation.
Alright.
Taking alcohol. Alcohol itself is a stressor.
Wow.
Yes.
Throw more light on that.
Yeah, there are certain foods or certain things that we take in that causes us to go through stress. So
And alcohol is one.
yes, alcohol, intake caffeine, and then taking a lot of refined foods,
Like.
like the drinks, what do we call, the highly sugary foods and drinks that we take, because it contains a lot of sugar.
Okay.
Right? And then we have established the relationship with sugar
Yeah.
and stress. So if you take alcohol and you drive, it means you are increasing your stress level, and that is not good enough.
Yeah, prone to losing a lot of concentration.
Exactly.
Alright. You have explained to us the effect stress can have on our bodies. So how do we cope? What are some of the coping mechanisms the body employs when it's stressed?
Alright, so the body itself has a way of dealing with it
Okay.
before the person takes a conscious effort. So, like I explained earlier, it goes through a system, right? Because it involves the brain. There is a portion we call hypothalamus,
Okay.
and that releases chemicals that causes certain organs in our system, and one of them is called the adrenal glands. So this adrenal glands is what produces the adrenaline and then the cortisol.
Okay.
Alright, so when they produce these ones, the adrenaline also has effect on one we call autonomic nervous system.
Okay, we'll take that one for us.
Yes,
Autonomic
nervous
what
system. So
does-
this nervous system is beyond our control. So
Okay.
it comes in when there is imbalances in our internal chemical reactions.
Okay.
Right. So the body is in a state of equilibrium, meaning that it is in a state of constant range. So when things are going bad, then the body does so many things to bring it back on track. So what happens is that when adrenaline is being released into the system, it has effects on what we call sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. So they are parts of our nervous system.
Can you take that again?
Sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves.
Okay.
Yes. So what this simply means is that the sympathetic nerve will cause you to take an action.
Okay.
Like we are saying, whenever you have stress, then it means that you have a change that needs you to take an action
Okay.
or you take a decision. Yes. So the sympathetic nerve will cause you to take an action. So what happens is that it will cause your heart to work faster. It will cause you to breathe faster. It will also cause more blood to be pumped to other areas and all these things. So when that is done, and then you are able to do whatever work or whatever situation you are facing with, then the parasympathetic nerve will reverse it back on track.
Oh,
Alright,
I see.
so the body tends to arrange itself or adapt itself to the change by releasing some of these chemicals. Right? And then the cortisol also, where you don't feel like eating, you still need the energy. And so the body releases the glucose for you to work or to take an action at that moment. And then when all is done, then the parasympathetic nerve will bring it back on track.
Okay. So the sympathetic will respond to the stress.
Yes.
And then when whatever goal has been accomplished, then the parasympathetic will bring it to normal.
Yes.
Back. All right.
Back. So
Alright.
that's how the body adjusts itself to it.
Okay.
But there are certain situations that it goes beyond. Alright. So these ones, it happens in the acute state that I was talking about.
Shortly.
In the short-lived one. But we have people who goes through stress for a very long time, or maybe they are not able to deal with the situation because it is so overwhelming that is beyond their capabilities, and so it becomes so extended. In that case, then they'll have to take a conscious effort to put in certain measures. Alright, so some of those measures include the fact that you need to identify what is stressing you or
Okay.
your stresses, and then you take an action. If you know, you prepare yourself, alright, for it. If you are going for interview and you know that if you are going for interview, you agitate and then you feel pressure and all that, then you would have to learn more or seek more information. So it makes you prepare more. Sometimes you will have to cope with the situation by having coping mechanisms. If you have coping mechanisms in place, although the stress is there, but you don't really feel or have the effects more. Alright. And then if it's about overwhelming work on you, pressure on you, you would have to strategize in such a way that you do one thing at a time. So if it's heavy work, then you make sure that you do it small and achievable ones. Some of the work, it may not be achievable, but if you do one and it's well achievable, you see that you become happy, and that takes off some of the stress that you are experiencing, right? And maybe you would have to maybe divide it into small groups, right? And you would also have to find appropriate timings. Some of the timings, if you are working, you become very exhausted and you cannot produce more. But if you know the time that you become very productive, then you choose those times. Sometimes early in the morning, maybe at dawn, you can do a lot of work, alright? Then you decide to do those ones. And those ones that require lots of energy, that's when you have to do them so that you can accomplish more at that time. Some of them too, you realize that there is nothing you can do, alright? No matter what you do, there is nothing you can do about those stresses. So, like I said, we develop the coping mechanisms. You just need to take a break, right, and relieve yourself. Sometimes you just need to stretch out, and then some exercises will help release the tension that the muscles are going through. Alright, sometimes you just need to take a sleep, and then once you are awake, you feel more refreshed, and the new ideas comes to mind. Alright, sometimes you just have to talk to someone who is more experienced or a professional to help you know how to go through the whole situation.
Wow. Is stress a state, feeling, or a perception?
Yes, it's a state, it's a feeling, and it's also a perception.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a state because what you find yourself at that time, okay, causes you to respond.
Okay.
Yes. So at that moment, what you are going through is what is causing that change in your system for you to respond either negatively or positively. Alright. And then it is a perception because you are perceiving something. So either your eyes is looking at it and it is being reflected, or you are seeing a threat, okay, that you think that it is overwhelming for you. Or maybe you are hearing something, okay, you are hearing something that maybe you are the boss here, and then they've told you that you need to vacate your position for a qualified person to come and take over. You heard it, it's a perception. Okay. And if you don't have the capabilities like the normal requirements, it's going to give you stress. You are going to think over it. You are going to go through, I have been with these people for that long time, now they want to take me out and put someone there. You go through some kind of stress, but you don't have the abilities to deal with it. So you have heard something, or maybe it's a touch on yourself, or a condition that you are feeling within you. It's a perception, alright? You are perceiving pain, alright? So it's a kind of perception. But when it comes to the feeling, yes, it's also a feeling because it involves emotions, and emotions are our feelings. Okay, so the excitement, the joy that you are feeling, the sadness, the agitation, the depression, the anxiety, they are all feeling. Alright, so stress, we have the perceptive type, and then we have the feeling type, the emotional type. Yes.
Okay. The impacts of stress on health are very great. Would stresses be stimulus for diseases?
Yes, looking at the impact that it has on our health, yes, it could be a stimulus for diseases. In fact, it has been recorded that about 90% of our diseases are stress related. Okay, yes. And if those stresses are not managed well, we see that it is related to other conditions. We talked of hypertension, cardiac diseases, stroke, diabetes, obesity. Okay, we have digestive conditions. We have so many. In fact, it affects the whole system because it is an organism. If you take even the reproductive system, you see that it affects the males in such a way that it causes low sperm count.
Males.
Okay.
Males.
It reduces your sex drive. If you are going through a kind of pressure, you don't feel anything. You see, it's reduced your sexual drive. If it's a female, it may even cause menstrual disorders, and
Wow.
that can also lead to infertility.
Oh, yeah.
Cardiovascular diseases, heart attack, and all that. So, in fact, stimulus they are related to.
Oh, okay. You said about 90% of the diseases. Would you like to make any references?
Yes, it has been recorded, but I think that the diseases are enormous. All right, enormous.
So you are still on the Health Buzz on Big Hands TV. Our discussion is really, really educating and interesting. We have learned that stress on males can even reduce our sexual drive, which is not very healthy. In females, it can even lead to menstrual disorders, and it can secondarily bring something we call infertility. We will be right back. We are going for a quick commercial. Please do stay with us. We are encouraging you to subscribe, like, share the video on all our social media platforms and handles. Big Hands TV on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Do stay with us. We are going for this quick commercial. Welcome back, lovely viewers. You are still tuned in to Big Hands TV, and this is your top health channel, the Big Hands Health Buzz. We are still talking about stress and stress management. Stress and stress management. We want to remind you that we are coming your way with this program by the kindness courtesy of our sponsors, Big Hands Foundation and the Big Hands Travel and Tour. So we're talking about the effects of stress on our health, and I want to ask a question: are stresses, or would stress be a stimulus for diseases?
Yes, it can.
Okay.
If it's the short-lived one, then it is positive. It's good. It enhances our brain to function well, and then it brings our body into an equilibrium state. But if it becomes chronic, then it increases our chances of having certain diseases.
Okay.
Yes. So it will affect all the body system because it is an organism.
Okay.
So if you take the cardiovascular system, for instance, I mentioned earlier that the adrenaline will cause the blood vessels to constrict, meaning that the holes in them will become small. If it becomes small, then the blood will push with pressure.
Yeah.
So eventually, the person can develop hypertension.
Okay.
And hypertension will have effects on so many organs: the kidneys, the brain, which can cause stroke later in life. It can cause other cardiac or heart diseases. Right. We also mentioned that the adrenaline will slow down the GIT, or the gastrointestinal system, and so cortisol is going to cause the release of glucose from the liver into your system. So if it is chronic, it means that now you have a lot of glucose in your system, which is going to cause insulin to be released. If you are not careful, you are going to develop type 2 diabetes in later life. Okay, all right. And then if you have someone living with ulcer, it will worsen it. Okay, not that it will cause ulcer, but it will make it worse.
The stress.
Yes.
Okay.
If you have someone with asthma, it will also make it worse. All right. Yes. It has effects on reproductive system. If it's a male, it can cause erectile dysfunction, it can cause low sperm count, it can cause low sex drive. Okay, if it's a female, you may have menstrual disorders that may even lead to infertility. So it causes a whole lot of health impacts on our body system. If you take the skeletal system for example, it causes continuous body aches, right? Because of the tension, you feel tense in your muscles. So continuously you have pains all over. You feel so fatigued, you feel so weak all over your body system. Yeah, so it has some kind of relationship with our health.
Okay. How can we manage our stress effectively? I want you to throw more light on it again.
Yes, so to be able to manage our stress effectively, like I said earlier, you have to know what is causing the stress. If not, it becomes difficult. All the time you see that you are so agitated, become anxious, you are frustrated, shouting here and there, alright, not knowing a specific one. But if you know the specific one, you can lay your hand on, and then you can sit up and then know how to manage it well, alright? You take a deep breath, relax yourself. Maybe if you have to take a break or you have to speak to someone or speak to a professional, that will also help you, alright? Yes. You have to take foods that will be less stressful, alright? So vegetables, fruits or fruit juices are very helpful. And then you avoid the foods that causes stress, like caffeine, alcohol, excessive alcohol intake, and the refined foods and the sugars. You have to avoid them. Okay. If there is a need for you to exercise, you have to engage in exercise. Exercising your body, stretching yourself because the muscles are more tensed up, so you have to stretch yourself or engage in a lot of exercising. If you have to take sleep for that maximum number of hours that are required. Alright, yeah. So you need to know yourself well and then take all these measures in place.
What about adequate hydration?
Yes, it's also very important because the water forms part of our nutrition, and water also releases, or it's less stressful.
Okay.
Yes, if you take a lot of water, you take away more stress from the system. Yes, so adequate hydration is also good. But the hydration, it could be the normal water or other fruit and other juices. Right? Some of the fruits contains a lot of fruits, and then some drinks are mainly fruits, but the content is what is important. So it shouldn't be the sugary type. If it's mainly the fruits type, that's good.
Okay. Know the stressor and you apply or employ the appropriate measure. All too soon, we are coming to the end of another educating and exciting episode on the Health Buzz on Big Hands TV. We would go to our resource person, Mrs. Janet Ansadanso, who is an SNO at the Obs and Gynae Emergency Unit, 37 Military Hospital, Ghana, for her final words. Any recommendations, final words for our viewers? I would like you to pay particular attention.
Yes, so all of us go through stress because they are part of life. We are all engaged in activities every day, but we need to know our levels. Sometimes we need to know how we even perceive certain things. Sometimes we perceive things negatively and it affects us negatively. So we should think more positive ways of dealing with it, and then be more resilient to the stresses. Sometimes you see that we become too concerned about certain things. We need to develop ourselves in such a way that we become resilient to stresses, and then we'll be good to go.
Alright. Thank you so much, Mommy, for coming. This is your second time on our show. I believe there are some people out there who you may want to give your regards, so you have the chance.
Thank you. My regards to my husband who told me the last time that I didn't greet him. So today, Bishop Prince answered and so my children, Gabriel, Yasmin, Samuel, I greet all of you, my working colleagues, greetings to you all, my church members and everyone.
Alright. So we also give our regards, Bishop Prince and Sadanso. Alright. So viewers, all too soon we are coming to the end of another exciting episode on the Health Buzz Big Hands TV. Today we spoke about stress, and we are emphasizing on the fact that you need to know the stressor, or you need to know that thing that makes you feel pressured. And if you have to refrain from it, or you have to be resilient towards it, you employ the appropriate measure. We want to encourage you to subscribe, like, and share the video to all colleagues who you know would really appreciate it. We are very grateful for the comments that came the other time. We are happy about them, and we will continue to do our best and get better. The Health Buzz is proudly sponsored by the Big Hands Foundation, which is an NGO reaching out to people who are less privileged. And this Easter, they will be embarking on a program. You can call 0248 698948 for more enquiries. You can find the Big Hands Foundation on the Kasua Winneba Road. You can find them there. We also come your way by the kindness courtesy of Big Hands Travel and Tour. Everything concerning travel, please get to them by calling 0248 698948, and they would have you covered. This has been another exciting episode of the Health Buzz on the Big Hands TV. We believe that you have been equipped to know what your stress is, identify the stresses, and manage them appropriately. I have been your regular host and presenter, Michael Jamiose. We would come your way next week, God willing, with another exciting and educating episode. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.